in the sleepy little town of Maplewood, where everyone knew each other as business, a rivalry was about to heat up. Literally, every year, the Maplewood annual BBQ cook-off brought out the town's fiercest pitmasters, but this year was different. It wasn't just about who made the juicier strips or the most tender brisket this year. It was a generational showdown. Grandpa Hank, the undisputed BBQ king for the past 30 years, versus Tyler and Jake, the self-proclaimed BBQ influencers whose only grilling experience was an pellet smoker with Bluetooth controls. Grandpa Hank was a living legend, 70 years old with a gut full of pork and a heart full of pride. His secret sauce recipe was locked in a rusty old toolbox that hadn't been opened since the Nixon administration. BBQ ain't about gadgets, Hank would grumble, puffing on his cigar. It's about patience, smoke, and a little bit of soul. Meanwhile, Tyler and Jake had a different approach, and with an app that controlled the temperature down to the decimal and a TikTok following of Szechuan barbecue enthusiasts, they were ready to dethrone the old man. Hank still living in the Stone Age. Tyler left. We really dry. The town was buzzing, bets were placed. Team Hank or Team Tech. Posters were plastered all over Maplewood. Grandma Betty was rooting for Hank. Obviously. But secretly I had a soft spot for Jake's six-pack abs that she claimed were a reflection of good protein intake. When the big day arrived, the smell of mesquite and hickory filled the air. Hank was manning his custom-built smoker, an ancient contraption that looked like a cross between a steam engine and a spaceship. On the other side, Tyler and Jake had set up a futuristic grilling station that looked like it could launch as a satellite, ready to lose old man. Jake winked, and we got an algorithm that predicts the perfect sear. Hank just smirked. Boy, we got older than you. The clock started. Came on. As the competition heated up, literally things went from friendly banter to absolute chaos, faster than you could see. Medium rare, Grandpa Hank, cool as a cucumber, tended to his smoker like an artist painting his final masterpiece, low and slow. Baby, he muttered, brushing on his signature sauce with a brush that looked older than the town's mayor. Meanwhile, Tyler and Jake, they were in over their heads. Their high-tech grill suddenly went haywire. The app is not connecting. Jake panicked, tapping his phone furiously as the Bluetooth icon blinked like eating firefly. The internal temp is all over the place. Tyler yelled, "What is happening?" They hadn't accounted for small town Maplewood Wi-Fi, which had the reliability of a carrier pigeon in a thunderstorm. Switched to manual mode. Jake screamed, but neither of them had any idea how to actually control the grill without their precious app. What's the internal temp of a brisket supposed to be again? Tyler whispered. I think it is like 400. Jake guessed. That is an oven, not a brisket, you idiot. Hank watched from across the lawn, shaking his head with ethical case. These days, can't even flip a burger without Wi-Fi. He glanced down at his smoker, the smoke writhing like a hymn to the BBQ gods, but Just when Hank thought he had it in the bag, disaster struck Grandpa. Yelled his 5-year-old grandson, Timmy, running up with a look of sheer terror. The raccoons are back. Hank's eyes widened. Not the raccoons. Not again. The infamous Maplewood raccoons, veterans of the BBQ circuit, had a reputation for swooping in at the last minute and making off with anything that was nailed down. Last year, they stole an entire brisket from Hank's stable. This year, they were back with reinforcements. Got the ribs, Timmy, Hank hollered. But it was too late. The little bandits had already formed a raccoon SWAT team. Eyes locked on the prize. Chaos erupted. Tyler and Jake, desperate to save face, started flinging hot dogs like grenades to distract the furry invaders. Take the hot dogs, not the brisket, Jake screamed. But the raccoons were BBQ connoisseurs. They wanted the good stuff. With only minutes left on the clock, the battlefield looked like a scene from a BBQ apocalypse. Smoke filled the air. Tyler was frantically Googling how to save burned brisket, and Hank was locked in a story down with the raccoon general, who was eyeing his ribs like they were the crown jewels, not this your body. Hank drawled in a last-ditch effort. Hank grabbed his sauce brush and flung it like a ninja star, hitting the raccoon leader right between the eyes. The critters scattered, but not before grabbing a couple of cornbread muffins on their way out. Victory, Hank roared, wiping the sweat off his brow. As the timer hit 0, the judges gathered around to taste the entries. Tyler and Jake's brisket. A little crispy, Judge Martha murmured, politely spitting it into Adam. This tastes like regret. Judge Tom added, Hank's ribs. On the other hand, heaven on a bone. The crowd went wild. Hank was voiced tied onto the shoulders of the townspeople like a war hero. Old school wins again, he bellowed, puffing on his chest. But just when Hank was ready to bask in his victory, Jake tapped him on the shoulder. Grandpa? Jake pointed to the side where one lone raccoon had managed to sneak away with the last rack of ribs. Son of a, Hank muttered, shaking his fist. Those little devils never quit. As the sun set over Maplewood, peace was restored. For now, Hank was still the king of BBQ. But Tyler and Jake, they were already planning next year. Rematch. Next year, Tyler smirked, holding up a prototype of Asler-powered BBQ drone. We're bringing it to the raccoon fight. Hank just grinned, "Bring it on, kid." The end.